My name is Ayola and I'm a lawyer, and I recently had a layover in one of my favorite countries, Singapore. Singapore is one of my favorite places because of its weather, efficiency, and of course the food. So in this video I will break down how much I spent during my layover. I was in Singapore for one night on my way to Vietnam, where I went for a trip, and then I had almost an entire full day on the return part of my trip on the way back to Australia. I arrived late on a Friday night to Singapore, and because I had quite a few suitcases, I wanted to take a Grab, and that was $29, and I went straight to my hotel in the city. I've been to Singapore before, so I'm quite familiar with the city, so I just wanted to be close to everything. I chose Hotel 1900 in Chinatown, and Chinatown is a historic neighborhood with a lot of terraced houses with wooden shutters. A lot of these buildings have been converted to shops, restaurants, bars, hotels. I also saw a few budget backpacker options in the area. I booked my hotel on booking.com, and I was upgraded for free to their deluxe queen room, which is bigger in size than their standard room. The room itself was very nice. It was spacious, it was renovated, it was very clean. The bed was big and comfortable as well. The bathroom was very modern and clean as well. So overall, it was a nice room. However, I probably won't be staying there again. Just because it was an old building, the noise insulation was pretty much non-existent. I could hear everything that was going on outside. I could hear people going in and coming out of bars quite late in the night as well. And I could hear my neighbors on the floor, and there were quite a few kids that were screaming. So that was definitely an issue for me because I'm a light sleeper. If it's not a problem for you, then this hotel is definitely a great option because of just how centrally it's located. It's just across the road from the Chinatown MRT station, and also considering the price. And I paid $184 for one night. And even if it might not seem that cheap to you, you'd be struggling to find anything that's not a backpacker hostel type of accommodation in Singapore for under $200. Even though it was late, I still wanted to go and explore a little bit, so I went for a short walk to a place called Lau Pa Sat, which is a popular hawker center in the city. It has a lot of food options, drink options. I was there at around 10 p.m. and some places were closing, but there was still plenty of choice in terms of food and drink. I actually wasn't that hungry, so I bought just a bottle of water and a fresh coconut. And I had my coconut while sitting outside at one of the plastic chairs. And I didn't do much else for the rest of the evening just because it was quite late, so I went back to my hotel, and it was a short walk away, to get some rest and to get some sleep. The next morning I woke up early and I wanted to have some breakfast, and I wanted to have one of my favorite things, which is Kaya Toast. I actually used to live in Malaysia, so a lot of the food that you can find in Singapore, I used to eat it back when I was living in Malaysia when I was younger. And one of my favorite things is definitely Kaya Toast. One of the most popular places for Kaya Toast in Singapore is a place called Kun Kaya Toast. There are a few locations around the city, but the one on China Street is definitely the most iconic. Not surprisingly though, the queue was quite long, and because I had limited time in Singapore, I did not want to waste a minute of it. So I decided to look for a different branch. And there was another location close by, actually just across the road from my hotel at Chinatown Point. It was still busy, but the queue was much shorter, and I managed to get a table, and I had a Kaya Toast with an iced tea for $6. After breakfast, I just went for a walk in the area around my hotel. Somewhere along the way, I got a fresh orange juice from one of those vending machines where the juice is made in front of you. And that was $2, which is so much cheaper than what it costs in Australia. After walking around, I wanted to go to the Marina Bay Sands. I took the MRT. I've been there so many times before, but honestly it never gets old to me. It's such a beautiful place. It was the weekend, so it was quite busy, but outside, because of the water and all the green spaces, I find it quite peaceful. I also wanted to grab some lunch, so I went to the shopping center and had lunch at the food court. It was very full, but I managed to get a table, and I had a fresh coconut and chicken rice. I also realized that I didn't bring enough tops for my trip to Vietnam, so I just went to Zara to get a few t-shirts and tops. And it was time for me to go back to the hotel to get my luggage, and then I ordered a Grab to go to the airport to catch my flight to Vietnam. After my trip to Vietnam, I arrived back in Singapore quite early in the morning, and my flight back to Australia was not until later that night, so I still had good 10 hours to explore the city. I managed to check in my luggage early, so I was left just with a small carry-on suitcase. The airport in Singapore is so convenient with many storage options, and I left my small suitcase in storage. I also wanted to have some breakfast before going into the city, and I actually went back to Kun Kaya Toast, this time in the Jewel. And I had the same thing, Kaya Toast with an iced tea. I took the MRT to Kampong Glam, which is a nice neighborhood full of 19th century shop houses. A lot of them have been renovated to cafes, coffee shops, different shops. There's a lot to do there. There's also a beautiful mosque. I went there just to walk around and also to get some lunch. And for lunch, I went to a restaurant called the Coconut Club. They have almost 3,000 reviews on Google, and they're also recommended by quite a few guides online. They specialize in everything coconut, so I think the coconut milk that they use in their dishes is of high quality or it's unique. For lunch, I had nasi lemak with chicken and sparkling water, and my lunch was definitely on the expensive side. I paid $29, but I had a really nice lunch, so I thought it was worth it. I stayed in the area for a little bit longer, and then I took the MRT to Vivo City. I believe it's the largest shopping center in Singapore, but the reason why I went there is because I wanted to change to the monorail to go to Sentosa. You can also take the cable car to Sentosa, but I did that during my previous trip, so I wanted to do something different. And I went for a walk on the beach. I know those beaches are man-made, but I find them quite beautiful. The water is very calm. It's very clean. I also remembered that the last time I was in Sentosa, I had a really nice coconut dessert and I wanted to have that again. It's basically some coconut ice cream with fresh coconut and red rubies. Quite similar to what they use in a Thai dessert that I really like. For the rest of the afternoon, I just walked around and then it was time for me to go back. So I took the MRT back to Vivo City. And then from there, I ordered a Grab to go back to the airport. Before picking up my suitcase from storage, I actually went back to Kun Kaya Toast to get a snack to bring back to Australia. And then I cleared security immigration. And for the rest of the evening, I actually didn't spend any more money because that night I was flying business. I had access to a few lounges and I chose the Qatar lounge. That lounge definitely has a luxurious feel to it. It has really nice showers. There is a small buffet with small things, appetizers, dips, things like that. But for hot dishes, you have to order from their menu. I had a really nice dinner there, and then after that it was time for me to board my flight back to Sydney. Before I talk about how much I spent in total, I really want to make a short note for transparency purposes for any young people, especially those who are aspiring to be lawyers. I really don't want you to get this wrong idea that lawyers travel in business all the time. In fact, I don't know any lawyer in private practice or in-house who travels in business. I booked my flights using frequent flyer points, and of course I paid for the taxes part in cash. But it was important that I mention this so that you have a realistic idea of what a lawyer lifestyle looks like these days. In terms of my spending, in total over 2 days I spent $481. There are a few minor things that I didn't mention throughout the video, like a $2 adapter that I bought on the first night, but those things are included in the others category that you can see now. Most of the money was definitely spent on my hotel. I also could have easily saved money by taking the MRT everywhere instead of Grab. And I could have had something more affordable for lunch on my second day, because Singapore is definitely a place where you can still find good food at affordable prices. And that was how much I spent in Singapore during my layover. Thank you for watching until the end.